All right, welcome to another episode of MicroShiner's Life Distilled. I'm Brian. I'm here with Brant Braue and Glenn, his boss. Glenn's just going to hang out and watch us, but that's perfectly all right. So we are at Jersey Artisan Distilling in Fairfield, New Jersey. Yeah?
Yes.
It's just outside.
Yeah, we're in Fairfield. Let's call it a little hole in the wall that actually is the alcohol mecca of New Jersey. There is right now 3 distilleries, 2 breweries, and a home winemaking place right in one little town.
Okay. Wow. Okay, so Brent, why distilling?
Why distilling has to go back to, I would have to venture into the childhood world.
Okay.
As a kid, didn't know I was going to be an engineer, but ended up getting into the fact that as a kid, I always wanted to learn how to distill.
Right.
Never realized it till, let's call it an incident in life where you get divorced, move back home with mom and dad, and that passion in your world creeps back up and says, I need to know. And after I moved back home with mom and dad, opened a distillery just because.
So you wanted to distill when you were a kid?
Yes.
Well, wait, so like what age? You're just like, was
If
it the
I
first
can-
time you got drunk? You're like, oh, I'm going to
no.
make that, or...
No, actually has to go back to probably when I was 12 or 13. It was
Really?
more about the how it was done.
Okay.
I'm a person in the aspect of I need to know why.
Okay.
So the alcohol the alcohol world wasn't quite fully in effect at that point in my life, but the aspect of saying I want to know why and how it's done.
Okay. So, but instead you went and you became an engineer. So explain more about your background.
I was an electrician for 14 years, went back to school in my 30s, became an electrical engineer, NJIT, got into the power generation, cogeneration, and cell sites of the world, and got divorced, moved back home, and opened the distillery. It's kind of a short story, but that's kind of but the engineering world is what got me into the aspect of the how, the whys, the wheres, understanding what I was doing. As a kid, when I first thought about it, you never realize why am I doing it? You were always just curious. Curiosity kills the cat.
Yeah.
But when you're older, I was more intrigued over the aspect of the details into it. And that's what actually, the more details you get, the more drawn into it that you actually become.
Okay. So how long ago was it when you first opened Jersey Artisan Distillery?
At this point, off the top of my head, I incorporated the business in July of 2012, got my license January 24th of 13, and we are here today.
Okay. Wow. So like 6-7 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you were talking earlier, you would say you're probably one of the first distilleries in New Jersey.
There was one distillery that made it through Prohibition. That was Laird's.
Okay.
Laird's Applejack. They were actually part of George Washington's original distilling group, and they were also gifted the first federal distilling license in the country.
Wow.
After that, no other distillery in New Jersey opened their doors until 2013. We got the craft distilling law put into play, and we actually opened our doors.
Wow. Very cool. Okay. So when you first set off to distill, what was the first, I guess, product you wanted to make? Like some people are just like, I'm all about vodka. I want to make the best vodka, or, gin, so on and so forth. Like, what was yours?
Rum.
It's
Kind of a crazy world. Let's call it simplicity in the beginning, but by definition, rum is actually one of the harder ones to go by. When you think about bourbon has a definition. It's 51% corn, double distilled, finished in a new white American charred barrel for a minimum of 2 years.
Yeah.
Or 4 years. 4 years.
Right.
And at that point, by definition, they tell you how long and what it's made out of. You get a 50% chance of the rest of it, whether you're wheat, rye, wheat, rye, barley, a bunch of the other aspects.
Yeah.
You're given that. But when you came to rum, one of the first things I said is, oh, we'll do rum. I chose rum because I was like, oh, it's sugar. Sugar can be any one of molasses, white sugar, agricole, sugar juice. Being in Jersey, one of the hard things that we had was the fact that you can't get sugar juice up here, and there's apparently no cane fields in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. Sugar juice actually starts fermenting within the first 24 hours once it's actually crushed and juiced.
Wow.
So
natural yeast then.
Natural yeast.
Wow.
Natural bacteria. So by the time you put it in a container, put it in a truck, and try to ship it halfway across the country, it is now an explosion happening in the back of a pickup, a big truck. So I went to the basics of what was originally up in the Northeast, and we actually went to the idea that the Northeast produced a lot of rum prior to Prohibition, and that was the reason why. Is you had Portsmouth, New Hampshire, you had Baltimore, you had Newark, you had a lot of these places that were importing molasses. So, hey, go with what was up here. You have Portsmouth, New Hampshire, that had 17 rum distilleries prior to Prohibition in 1 square mile. Why?
Yeah.
You had all the molasses at your disposal.
Wow. So
Boston, Massachusetts had a tragic accident back in the early 1900s when a 1 million gallon hot molasses tank actually ruptured and flooded the town, killing 17 people or so.
Wow.
So things, I looked at that saying, okay, I want molasses. I like to go with molasses, and found a absolutely fabulous source right here in New Jersey. And any day of the week, I could pick up the phone and have hot molasses showed up at the door within a day.
Wow.
They have hot tanks in Newark still.
Okay. So you do a rum?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to taste some of your rum at some point. Okay. So where did you learn how to distill? And did you distill before you had a distillery, or we don't have to talk about that? Again, if there's anything you don't want me to talk about or bring up, let me know.
No. I'll do it in a sense that's absolutely fabulous for the world. Once upon a time, there was a person that actually may have been distilling in his garage, playing with molasses, and built a still out of a keg and 2-inch copper pipe and copper rashing rings and every part of that, and actually created a fabulous rum that was the preliminary of what could be the future of a fabulous distillery.
Okay. That's
and that could have happened.
I like that tale. I like that story. That's great. Okay, so let's dive into one of your favorites here. What do we have in front of us?
So after we got out of rum, we started with a silver rum, went to a barrel-aged dark rum. As a distillery, one of the hard things you have is money flow. So the first thing you do is do something clear, get it out the door. So we did that. Our first order was 600 cases of silver rum, ventured into dark rum. And then I had a fabulous company approach me on the idea of doing sorghum. Sorghum being a granule, it's a grain product in its own sense. Looks like a sugarcane product, or like a sugarcane. Has a nice fluffy head on it with grain, which kind of looks very much like a little tiny grain. This is actually popcorn made from sorghum.
Wow.
Do it in an air popper, because let me tell you, try it in a regular popping machine. Think about a popcorn. It goes from this big to 5 times its size.
Okay.
Well, that's the size of a minuscule.
Right.
Going 5 times, it goes and goes nowhere.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Air popper is the way to go with that.
Wow. Okay. That's awesome. It kind of looks like peppercorns.
Yeah. Or mustard. Either way. Yeah.
Right.
So, but that's the top of a grain. But the stalk of sorghum itself also has a lot of the same characteristics as sugarcane. Has a lot of juices in it before the actual stalk goes to grain. So what they ended up doing is that's a lush sorghum. They actually harvest the stalk itself as a like a sugar cane itself, but process the backside of it as or not a molasses, but actually dehydrate it like you do maple syrup.
Okay.
So you're not bringing it to a boil, but you're dehydrating it out, and you're left with a big heavy syrup itself of the sweetness.
Okay.
The federal government realizes it only as a grain.
Wow. So you can use the whole plant.
The whole plant.
The whole plant.
You can do the top side, or you can do the bottom side. So in the beginning, what we did was we started out with the sorghum whiskey itself.
Okay.
Talked to the government, got through formulation, got a label approval, and it is actually a barrel-aged sorghum whiskey.
Okay.
And that's actually what's distilling right at this point. It operates almost like a molasses, but when it's done, has a sweeter note, finishes creamy mouthfeel, finishes very dry like a rye.
Okay.
So it starts off sweet, finishes dry, and a lot, let's call it a beginner's whiskey in that sense.
All right.
So
I'm a beginner.
this is over 2 years in a barrel.
Okay.
So all the color is barrel itself.
Wow.
It's also 86 proof, so we heated it up a little bit. We didn't go to 90, but 80, it just kind of was lackluster.
Yeah.
It didn't give you enough of the peppery bite on the backside.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, it has kind of like the nose of a rum.
Yes.
Yeah.
It does have the nose of a rum, but finishes very dry like a rye.
Okay.
So you can go from one side to the other, which is impressive for most people. A diehard whiskey person goes, oh, okay, wait. Oh, I like that.
Oh, wow. I see what you mean. That finish, that bite.
It's got the bite dry, and it dries up right on the backside.
That is okay. That's a unique spirit. I like that. I've never had that. Okay. So sorghum, where do you get your grain from? Is it
typically the grain is coming out of either Texas, Tennessee, down south? Typically, sorghum itself actually can be grown in any part of the country.
Okay.
That's what's kind of neat. We've actually had sorghum that's coming from upstate New York.
Okay.
So it's a very hardy plant. So you can plant it in between corn growings. You can do it in between cotton. There's a lot of interesting things. It's typically a row. It just like you would do a corn. It grows like a row, in rows.
Okay.
And at that point, it's a great filler in between. On off seasons, it uses different nutrients. So at that point, they can actually, put it in between on off years and still be able to have a harvest.
I'm kind of embarrassed that I've never really heard about this grain before. It's is there any other like sorghum whiskeys or spirits or
there's 4 or 5 in the country at this point.
Wow. Okay.
In China, if I could just throw in.
Well,
in China,
there's a spirit called Baiju, which is actually the largest selling spirit.
Baiju from China. Okay.
Baiju whiskey.
Okay.
And that's sourced from sorghum. It's made differently than our whiskey, but it's the largest selling spirit in the world by virtue of the amount it sells in China.
Okay. All right. So we got to get Glenn a mic. No, it's fine. No. Okay. So China that's their main spirit is a sorghum based spirit. Okay. Wow. Okay. So do you source any local grains or anything from Jersey?
Well, anything from Jersey at this point. There's outside Santini Farms up in off 78. They're the largest grower of sorghum and corn itself, because a lot of the sorghum grain goes to farming for cattle.
Oh, okay.
So they use that as fill-in between the grain. So, yes, so some of it does come out of New Jersey itself.
Okay. What do you do with the spent grain?
Typically, it comes in as a syrup itself
at
this
okay.
point.
Oh, right.
So it comes in looking like a dark molasses when it comes in the door, because it's already been processed out and dehydrated.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Huh.
You can do both sides of it. You can do a grain sorghum or you can do a syrup sorghum, but it depends which way you want to go with it. We chose to go with the syrup sorghum. It comes in 55-gallon drums.
Oh, wow. Okay. And then, so how is it aged again?
We do new white American oak barrels. We're typically over 2 years at this point. We're going to be releasing in the fall or right before Christmas. We're going to be doing a 4-year barrel in bond.
Okay.
So a sorghum and a new white American oak barrel.
Okay. Very cool. So when you set off to start a distillery, did you really like? Is this something you want to do for the rest of your life, or do you start this? Did you start this business to scale and sell, or
every person in a distillery has that imagination of building it, selling it off to Constellation brands or Castle brands or Casamigo kind of world. Hey, I'm going to make $1 billion off it. You have to have that as a dream. You can't get off the ground if you don't shoot for the moon. But on the other side is you have to also have in plan how to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So as you go along the way, that's what you do.
Yeah.
Every day of the week, you get up, you put in your, anywhere from 40 to 100 hours a week, and you do what you have to make it work.
Okay. Wow. That's that sounds like it. I mean, I don't know. I would love to just be a distiller full time, but
you're hired.
I know exactly. So, what do you have? Do you have anything new that's coming out besides the bottled and bond?
Right now, we just came out with our rye whiskey. So it's a blended between sorghum and a rye itself.
Okay.
So what we did is we wanted to introduce people to rye. A lot of people are either one side of rye or the other. Mm-hmm. We wanted to get the transition between a whiskey drinker and the rye drinker. So with the sorghum, it added a little sweetness. So we came up with a blended rye whiskey.
Okay.
It's sweeter on the front side, ends up kind of far from the sweetness of the sorghum, but also ends up it's truly rye. It has that rye mouthfeel, the rye bite, every part of it. So that's where we went. We ventured right into.
Okay. All right.
So we'll venture right into.
Yeah, definitely. And then, so what else do you do? Because I see a lot more bottles on your shelf. But so besides the rye and the sorghum
and the 2 rums, we do a silver rum, dark rum. I think at this point we're going to be venturing into being in the craft world. One of the things that we do have access to is MGP, a bunch of other different companies where we private label for other people too as well. Having a building of this size, one of the things you want to do is venture into the world of, you still have to make money at the beginning of the day,
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
That's one of the things. We're doing a bourbon right now for a company. So we're venturing there. My hopes is venturing into a vodka.
Okay.
We have a lot of great bases to start with. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So what do you think of the rye?
The rye is awesome. Okay, that's nice, crazy different contrast compared to the sorghum. Definitely nice. Not as crazy of a finish as the sorghum, but nice, very clean, bright, fruity almost.
Yeah.
No, that's great. So, what's the mash bill on this rye again?
This that's actually, it's at this point it's 85% rye.
Okay.
The rest of it's sorghum.
Oh, okay. Okay. Wow. Okay, that's where the sorghum comes in. You get a little bit of that sweetness. Where's the rye from?
Rye comes from the typically. Well, that rye came from down south. As far as I know, it came out of Tennessee and Indiana.
Okay. So now changing subjects.
Go ahead.
What are your thoughts on RTDs?
RTDs. Explain.
Like, okay, RTDs, ready to drinks, like cocktails, canned cocktails, things like that.
RTDs. Actually, I was approached years ago by a gentleman. I think it's a fabulous idea. When I was approached, it was going back 4 years ago. And what's going to come out of that is now in the new cannabis world and stuff like that, ready to drink cocktails are going to be a huge hit.
Yeah.
The other side of it is now having to deal with the companies that have to come out. So we bottle in a typical whiskey bottle, corked, sealed. In that sense, you're looking at smaller bottling machines. It's a whole different aspect. You have to be driven into that industry, and whether you're going to can something or bottle something in a small bottle, I think it's a great idea, and by far. But playing in the FDA world, that's a whole different aspect, is because now you're starting to play in with sweeteners or bringing in sweetness and stuff like that. Now you're playing in an FDA world, and that's, if you're ready to go that direction, God bless you. That's just not our direction at this point, but I think it's a fabulous way to go for the people going in there. Think about White Claw.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's I get in debates with Kobe, founder of MicroShiner, on like, all right, how are all these craft distillers going to be able to, now they have to buy a canning line or a bottling line or something like that. It's like, do they really want to compete with White Claw? You
have to pick and choose your battles.
Yeah, I guess so. And it's fun to see where they're going, because it's seeing distillers put out like craft old fashions in little 8-ounce cans,
absolutely,
things like that.
I think the wine industry killed it first. They were doing the wine by the glass. That to me was, when that came out, I was like, oh, you can get a plastic glass with a little pull top on it and go to the beach and nobody's going to complain.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's and that's the objective is, where is it consumed at, right? I mean, I drink spirits anyway, and cocktails and straight. This is fine by me at dinner time, just a glass of neat whiskey. But there are those people that require, like, okay, their options if they're going to go kayaking. Okay, it's either beer or wine, and then they have to bring a cup or something, or whiskey and then bring a cup. But it's not like they're going to bring everything to make a Manhattan while they're, picnicking in their kayak or something.
True.
So I see where there is a market for them. And another argument I got into with another gentleman was, I prefer to make cocktails, but at the same time, he's also a bartender, and he came to me and he mentioned, he's like, I went to this party the other day, and they're like, oh, you're a bartender? How about you make some drinks? And he's like, I'm here to party, not to work, So it's easy to just grab something, pour it over ice, drop a cherry in it. There's your, Manhattan on the rocks, or the gin and tonics that are just like all over the place now. And I haven't seen, in my area in California, I haven't seen too many RTDs from craft distillers hit the market. But I know that they're just like all over the place. Like, I went to the ADI conference, and I was talking to, I forget the distillery now. Oh, bummer. But that's what their main focus is RTDs, and they're out of Michigan.
But you want to know what? You have to pick the direction.
Yeah.
If you want to be in a bottle, be in a bottle on the shelf. Mm-hmm. We have enough competition with one side or the other. They get to choose and pick their competition. If you want to be an RTD and, sitting on the shelf right next to White Claw, that's their choice.
Yeah.
I have to sit on the shelf right next to Jack and Beam. So you have to pick your battles.
Yeah.
I have a fabulous dark rum and a silver rum. I'm battling against the three. I always tell people when I first started, I said, name me 5 rum brands. They hit 2 and 3, and they're like, okay, we got Bacardi, we got Myers, we had, and that's kind of the world they go to.
Right.
And then, but that's what people know.
Yeah.
Name brands, we live in a world of brand recognition, and that's a hard thing to play with because you get somebody that wants to come out there and spend 10, 15, 20 million dollars in brand recognition. How does a small guy compete against that? You can't. If Bacardi woke up tomorrow morning and wanted to, thumb us into the ground, absolutely, they could do it. If one of the big companies wants to come in and buy us, they could do it too.
Right.
Depends on which side of the thing. You have to find a brand and what your desire is for, where you see that you can make a niche in the market and create influence and say, okay, I'm great at this. If you're going to be I'm not going to say well, pardon my language.
It's okay. You can cuss on this podcast.
But if you're going to be halfway to perfection, that's not right. You want to create a brand. You want to make it right and believe in what you do.
Yeah.
Because if you do it, then when you walk out the door and you want to sell it to somebody, you have the heartfelt. If you don't like it, the person on the other side of the table knows it before you even put it in a glass. So pick your if you want to be in a can and want to pour it over a piece of ice and enjoy it on a beach, absolutely, all day long.
Right.
And to be honest, I may do it myself. Well, actually, I may not do it here, but I will buy something like that. I bought wine in a glass and go to the beach.
Yeah.
So I think every place has a market. Absolutely.
Okay. Nice. Well said. Okay. Can we try that rum?
Sure.
Is that doable?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
On the bar.
Which anyone you feel?
Oh, dark.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Dark is my.
Yeah.
I am very much a dark person. My silver.
Oh yeah, that's rich too.
Nice and rich. We'll start on the light side because this ends up with a big grassy note. Oh, hold on.
It's okay.
Hold on.
Oh, perfect. Oh, right on.
There we go.
Right in, fine in. Okay.
This has, staying in the rum world, this has a nice creamy mouthfeel, grassy notes, lemongrass, kind of that world. Most people never think about silver rum in a glass. Everybody always knows Bacardi. And it goes into pina colada. It goes into rum and coke. But this goes in so many different things. We do an interesting drink here. We do a Rum Tonic Royale. We stole it right out of one of the steakhouses. And basically, this tonic water, rosemary, a little lime juice, a little simple syrup or agave, either one, mix it up on ice.
That is incredibly soft. That is so good. It's, 80 proof, right?
80 proof.
80 proof.
Everything is 80 proof.
It does not
80 proof,
come on.
80 proof. We're at 86 and 86.
Okay. So rum's 80, rye 86.
90.
The rum 90.
No,
then,
the rye is 90.
The rye is 90, and then the sorghum is 86.
86.
Got it. No, it comes on just straight. It's like it's not even alcohol. You just get nothing but flavor when you first drinking.
You get the nose of it, and that was one of the things. Is we typically with our rum, I'll tell all our dirty secrets because I don't mind.
There we go.
There is
Dear Diary.
Okay, Dear Diary. There's close to 30 distilleries in New Jersey, and I can give each and every one of them. And I tell people this all the time. I can give each and every one of them my recipe. And each and every person will come up with a different flavor.
Wow.
So it's a dark molasses, fermented, distilled. We carbon filter our silver rum. That's it.
Okay.
Proof it down into a bottle. So you distill it properly, you end up with a nice smoothness to it. I like the grassy notes, the lemongrass that kind of goes with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't give you that. Everybody always waits for the, as I always called it, the Robitussin shake on the backside. That actually, it doesn't give you that bite in the backside.
The Robitussin shake, I like that. It's a technical term.
I hate to. everybody that's ever had Robitussin does the same thing. They take it and they go,
oh yeah. I like that. Robitussin shake.
So, and this is our dark rum. The only difference is we dig a little deeper on the backside for a little bit of tails into it.
Okay.
Tails play very nice.
Absolutely. I mean, I agree. Tails are not necessarily a bad thing.
No, they play very nice in a barrel. We're over to, this is a blend between 2 and 4 years in a barrel. So, as you can see, the color comes deep and dark through. Comes across very nice.
It's almost like get like a espresso, like a coffee, like
you get the barrel
dark
flavor.
Chocolate.
I had a gentleman walk through the door and go, "This is whiskey," and I'm like, at that point, I wasn't even producing whiskey. I'm like, sorry, in the middle of this, I produced a bottle of whiskey just for you.
Yeah,
but we wanted something. This when it becomes. In my spare time, one of the things I'll do is I'll pull it right out of the barrel. We barrel typically at about 160 proof.
Wow.
So high proof. So this is cut from 160 to 80.
Okay.
So think about how dark it looks coming out of the barrel. So
Yeah.
that's half with distilled water.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Wow. Okay. That's awesome. That is like, it's rich. It's like.
I make a rum and coke with it, and like at 150, 160 proof, I'll put it in, and I mean, use a jigger because let me tell you, it doesn't take much to go from being happy and being, oh my God, look, the floor.
Yeah.
But it comes across really, the flavor comes across so strong at 160 proof that you only need the half ounce in a regular 12-ounce glass, and it comes across so nice.
That is fantastic. So, where do you distribute? Like
right now, our sorghum, our rye, we're in 12 states.
Okay.
Our rum is in 8.
Okay.
So we're everywhere from Florida to Maryland to Delaware to New York to Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Jersey. I know we're in California.
Awesome.
Texas. Illinois. Maine we're working on right now.
Awesome.
So
Okay.
yeah,
a lot of New England.
Yeah,
That's good.
a lot of New England. That's the thing is stretch out. We're not a small. When everybody looks at it, our tasting room is tiny.
Yeah.
Our distillery is fairly sizable.
Uh-huh.
When we first opened the doors, we weren't even allowed to have a tasting room.
Yeah.
So that was the craft distilling law that we actually got put through. So our main focus in the beginning was actually selling product. That's what only thing we could do was sell it to either self-distribute or put it out in distribution. So we grabbed a lot of the distributors.
Yeah.
You know? And that's what we had to do in the beginning.
Wow.
Our tasting room is meager in comparison to many. But you want to know what? I'm okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
No, your tasting room is so cool. I like it. I like exactly like what you mentioned, how it's incorporated in the distillery floor. And it's right here. It's like a giant window, but you just like gaze into the distillery.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Everything that we did in the distillery, all of it's reclaimed, or not even reclaimed wood. All the oak itself is 2 different trees that we had milled down. All the brick is reused brick inside around the base. Everything 2 of us actually built.
Wow.
So it was kind of one of those. You want to know it? I have a heartfelt side to it.
Yeah. No, you made it with your own hands, just like your spirits.
Yes.
Awesome. That's great. So how is this affecting, I guess, you're not married now, or are you?
Partway there.
Partway there. Okay. All right.
I have a very fabulous woman in my life.
Okay. Excellent. Great. Okay. Everyone should. Every man should.
Behind every man, there's a woman rolling the eyes. What's that?
Right.
Yeah. I have one of those.
Right. What does she think about, or what does your family think about you as a distiller?
Well, when I opened the doors, my family was the one that helped me finance this.
Okay.
So my dad, my mom, my brother, they were all well aware of, this was a great idea in there. Okay, I may be a great salesman, but it was one of those where I told them what I wanted to do, and they realized that I had the dream, I had the focus at that point, and I had the know-how to make it happen. So to them, they were like, okay, it's a great investment. So they helped me out financially heavily.
Okay.
So between my money and my parents and my brother, absolutely, we're here.
And they're stoked, and they're all about it.
Absolutely.
Awesome. That's cool. Yeah.
Don't do it.
Don't do a distillery ever. Don't ever try.
Oh, wait. So last weekend I went up to a friend of mine who owns a distillery. I testified on the zoning board. And he goes, why didn't you tell me how freaking hard it was? I was like, I told you in the first place.
Yeah.
I said, you either have to be rich or crazy. You pick and choose.
Yeah.
He's like, you didn't tell me about the hours. I was like, yeah, kind of goes with it.
Yeah. I mean, so how do you market and do all that?
In the beginning, we did a lot of self-marketing. We did a ton of events. It didn't matter what event it was. We were there. So our weeks were filled with distilling during the days and doing you name it events. I still love, sponsoring events for dogs and Special Olympics and everything like that.
Oh,
absolutely. We still market that way too as well. I'm here with you.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how,
Yeah. Sure.
It takes every ounce of figuring out how to talk to somebody. Talk to a stranger on the street. You're always selling. That's always the thing. Say, hey, we're here. A good friend of mine is, we got Applebee's. We got, I was in Costco.
Really?
Yeah.
Local
And
Costco's?
Local. There's state of Jersey is kind of let's call it a little strange
With the laws? The liquor laws?
a single person's only allowed to have 3 liquor licenses. Where Texas, you can have 150.
So like a single person, like a single entity? Or
Yes.
Okay.
So a single person, if they put it under a single person, that person can only own 3.
Okay.
So Costco only has 3 stores in Jersey that have liquor licenses.
Okay, but they have more Costco's in Jersey.
Yes.
Wow. Wow.
So
So you have to go to the special Costco to get
Yes.
your booze. Okay.
So
Wow.
some of the Costco's do not sell liquor. Yeah, I got that. I have, good friends of mine that are in different industries in the liquor industry because this world is very small. There's not many people that don't know what's going on without other people already knowing.
Wow. Huh. No, I mean, as I was just telling, I just came from. Sorry, I flew in
No, go
yesterday.
ahead.
I flew in yesterday. No, I'm trying to formulate my sentence.
I'm sorry, I did well then.
Yeah, you did great. I'm struggling. So I flew in yesterday, and I went out to eat. I'm staying in Montclair. That's where I'm staying.
Beautiful little town.
Yeah, I
live between here and there.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the thing. So I'm from Hillsburg, right? Super cute, bougie wine town. Walk around
That's
the
Montclair.
vineyards, right? And then,
No vineyards. So.
well, right. But I was like, okay, well, I don't know New Jersey at all. Like, I don't. I've been to New York, spent 3 days in New York, and that was 7 years ago, and it was still like a tasting spoon. I didn't get to see the whole city.
You could be there for weeks.
Yeah.
And never.
Exactly. So I was like, all right. So I don't really know New Jersey. Okay, where should I stay? Someone's like, okay, well, I'm like, here's the distilleries where I'm going. They're like, oh, you should stay in Montclair. And I'm like, okay. And then I got on the Google Earth and the Street View, and I'm like, this town is cute as fuck. What? Like,
Oh, absolutely.
It just reminds me of like, wow. And everyone's like, oh yeah, you're going to New Jersey. The Newark side, once you get out of the port cities, it's a beautiful state. It's beautiful, and it's changing. The landscape's changing. I'm really taken back by how much I've been enjoying it, and I've only been here for 24 hours now.
Listen,
So
everybody you get off the plane in Newark, and the first thing you see is Newark, which is really not an impressive thing. We are the second largest producer of blueberries and cranberries in the country.
Cranberries too. Okay, I heard the blueberry stat.
We're cranberries as well. We're not the Garden State for no reason.
Yeah.
Because once you get out of this area, yes, you take everybody and you cram them in this little tiny spot. And then you have this other spot over here called Philadelphia. And everything in between, it's just wide open area.
Wow.
I mean, farms and you name it. It's absolutely fabulous. We have 43 to 46 wineries in Jersey.
Okay.
We have close to, there's farm to table, so many farm to table restaurants. It's one of those. You're staying in Montclair, which is truly, I hate to say, it's a bougie town. That's the next town over from where I live. It is a fabulous place to be because you want to know it? You could wake up in the morning. There is 40 restaurants you can go. If you want to go get one thing or another, absolutely.
Yeah. No, that was the thing. I went out. And it was pretty sleepy, but then again, it was like 9:00 on a Thursday, so I get it, But
everybody's very long gone after that.
Exactly. But I went to Cuban Pete's.
Cuban Pete's right there on Bloomfield Ave.
The place was popping. They're like, okay, I had to wait to get a table.
If you want a quarter mile up, you go to a place called Toast. Same thing.
Okay. And then, but the funny thing, circling back around to liquor laws. It's BYOB.
Yes.
Or BYO. So you order the mojitos, but then you just throw your bottle of rum on the counter.
Absolutely.
And I was looking for a local rum, but I couldn't find any. So I bought some other brand. I won't talk about it.
Well,
but
it's okay. It either starts with a B or an M, I'm sure.
No, it was Havana Club.
Okay. Havana. I think I have a
Puerto Rican. Yeah, it's a Puerto Rican.
I have it up there.
Oh, awesome. No. So I brought that in, had a few mojitos, but anyway,
You drink before 9?
I know, it's crazy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't feel so bad.
No, this was last night, not this morning.
Okay, I'm wrong.
No, this morning though. Still, yeah. I mean, I'm still in California time, so I was drinking at 8:00. Actually, if we really want to get specific.
No, that's Pacific.
Specific. But anyway, so that was really neat. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that.
There was a place right around the corner that actually sells my stuff. Right?
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
From Cuban Pete's.
Okay. Yeah, I got to venture out more. Avenos, okay.
Yeah. So Cuban Pete's, Avenos is like right on the backside.
Do they have good craft selection there?
They have a great craft.
Oh, okay, great. Because
if you like wine at night too, that's the place to go.
Okay. All right. No, I do. Okay, so
okay.
Do you enjoy wine? Are you a big wine snob?
So I'm a non-discriminate alcoholic.
Okay.
I'd like to venture there because I will drink a vodka tonic. I will drink a gin. I will drink whiskey. I will drink rum. I will drink anything interesting. I drink beers. So actually, in about an hour and a half, I'm going over to Cricket Hill Brewing, which is a mile down the road. That's where I'll be. And then at 9:00 tonight, I'll break open a Rioja.
What is that?
It's a typically it's a heavier wine. It's not like a cab, but I'll drink any type. I'm a wine drinker at night. Soothes the soul. I'm a beer drinker casually. I like my spirits during the day and morning and day. Okay. It's just, it depends what you like.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, I find I appreciate spirits because I could differentiate them more. I mean, I could differentiate all alcoholic beverages. Wine is more of a condiment for me.
It is.
I have to be eating when I drink wine, or little posts. After sitting there enjoying a nice glass of Cab or Merlot after your meal, something like that. But for me, it's like it's spirits all the way. Like Cocktails, yes. Maybe spirits, few rocks, something like that. Simple base cocktails. I mean, I used to manage bars. I was heavy into crafting cocktails and naming them and using something fun, but then you start to get steered by the big brands, like, you know, if you put my spirit on the cocktail menu.
Wait, I have one for you. If you had a choice, the simple thing, what's your base drink?
My base drink. Okay, so it depends what's happening. Like, what's
it
the
always
night?
does.
I know.
Believe
Everything
me, I know
does.
it does.
Everything does. Usually, like gin on the rocks with maybe a twist. I'm a huge fan of Negronis. Like, I'm a firm believer in aperitifs.
Okay.
And then, you know, dinner drinks, and then digestives. You know, I love my Amaros. I even enjoy, you know, grappa, you know, from time to time. So
I tried making grappa.
yeah.
I was not a fan. In my spare time, I made a brandy. And
Okay.
here's the scariest thing in the world. A friend of mine showed up here with 9 barrels of wine. That was obscene, tart, over the top, stick it in your face kind of. It was a Hungary grapes. He goes, "Oh my God, I can buy a better wine cheaper than it cost me to make this." And he goes, "Have at it."
Yeah.
So rolled them through the door, and I distilled them. Distilled them at 110 to 120 proof. Stuffed them in a barrel. About a year and a half later, I made the best brand. I had a distributor. I put it in front of him, and he goes, "Oh, when are you coming out with it?" And I was like, "Oh my God." I said, "I love the guy. His wife is a very wonderful woman, and she doesn't remember what grape she used.
Oh, bummer.
So let's call this a one-off."
Okay.
It was the best brandy I could ever say I've ever put in my mouth. And at that point, it just like everybody here was just like, "Oh, brandy, brandy, brandy." It was fabulous.
Yeah.
It had darker, redder notes than this. It was fat. It just sucked up the world. And it was just so easy to drink. And it was 110 proof out of the barrel. I never even had to proof it down or do anything. Put it in a glass, put ice on it, and it was fabulous.
Wow.
That was my first big mistake because I could not replicate it. And when they were like, "Oh, figure out what grapes there are." I'm like, "You know how many grapes there are in Hungary?" I'm like, "Yeah, good choice. Let me talk about the first 1,000."
See, okay, so have you ever thought about making there's wineries in Jersey. How is Jersey's wine, by the way?
If you like tart, it's good.
Tart, okay. Yeah, that's what I understand. They're like, not that I'm a wine snob, but it's like I'm also very jaded. Like, I know
You're
California's wine.
California.
Yeah, exactly. We have some killer wines.
I'm an Oregon freak.
Yeah. Pinot, Oregon Coast Pinots are killer.
I'm not going to want to venture a name, but Joe Gott makes an Oregon Pinot Noir. To me, absolutely. Put it in a glass all day long.
Yeah.
You'll find me on the floor. I'll enjoy it all day. That is my favorite ever.
Okay.
Then after that, it's Rioja, which is Spanish wine, or Portuguese kind of world.
Okay.
So that's my big thing. And then cabs, softer wines, a very, very, very dry Riesling I'll go to. On a nice hot summer day, a nice dry Riesling.
Okay.
But that's the wine industry.
Right.
Beer industry, I'm a hophead.
Yeah.
You name it. Big
IPAs.
So the bigger the better, the bolder. I need, 90 plus IBUs kind of world. And
Okay.
I need something that just says, "I'm an IPA."
Right.
I like sours, which really catches people off guard.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of sours. Like a nice dry, crisp sour.
Absolutely.
I'm about it. Okay, now what's your go-to cocktail?
What's my go-to
Yeah,
cocktail?
your base, Like I said, I like gin rocks, then
I'm a
Negronis.
gin rocks. I hate to say it, and here's really the bizarre world. I'm a vodka tonic guy.
Yeah.
If I go into some local eatery, I sit down, I get mozzarella sticks and Moser sticks, whatever you want to call them. I'm definitely a vodka tonic. And I really, really hate to say this, but I'm going to say it. I'm a Tito's and tonic guy.
Okay, ain't nothing wrong with that.
Listen, it's a good, clean vodka. I can't knock it.
Right.
I have friends of mine that are like, oh, you need Belvedere, you need this and that. And I'm like, listen, if I put them all side by side, dry on in a glass, none of you will figure it out.
Mm-hmm. That's
name recognition.
Exactly. Yeah,
and they like dogs.
That's a fun story. I mean, there's a lot we can talk about Tito's all day, but no, I enjoy a little body in my vodka. I mean, okay, so what's your theory on different types of drunk?
Drunk?
Yeah, like there's different types. Right? Okay, am I right or am I wrong?
No. You are so 100% right on different types of drunk.
Right.
So here's my thought on alcohol.
Yeah,
you'll like this one. So every alcohol has a persona. So if I turn around and put 6 people sitting at the table and a phone, we'll leave this moment alone. I'm sure it's some fake Indiana call.
Telemarketer, yeah. Exactly, fake Indiana.
So my thought on alcohol, the persona, and each one has its own. So if you took 6 people at a big round table and put scotch in front of them, they're going to sit down, light a cigar, and they're going to talk about their finances and how they put their kids through college. It's a persona that goes with it.
Yeah.
They're sitting on a back porch or something like that, smoking a pipe, which I like in my spare time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a persona of scotch. You turn around and put rum in front of somebody, and they're talking about the last time they were in Bahamas or Cancun or Cozumel and having a good time. They're talking about the sun, the fun, and everything goes with it. You turn around and take vodka. You're looking at the millennials. Oh, sorry if you're a millennial, but no. But you're taking the people that are going out there drinking Cosmos. They're having a good time. It's a fun, more into party drink. You turn around and put tequila in front of the same 6 guys. You're talking about making fun of somebody's wife whose clothes is off and there's a fight breaking out. But each one has its own persona of what it is. Yeah. What the drink is, what it's there for. If you take, 43 is designed to be done after you've had a nice big chocolate cake at the end of the night. Yeah. You're drinking it down or Zambuca in your espresso. Each drink has its own persona that goes with it. You don't start the night by doing shots of Zambuca, that's just one of those things that just doesn't kind of fly in the world.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I actually had a bar patron who used to do that, do Sambuca shots with the espresso beans before dinner.
I like espresso beans.
Yeah.
So now you're going to venture inside this world. So I did a drink for a gentleman, and we created what was called Moreno. So we took our 80 proof rum, and we soaked it on Brazilian coffee beans.
Oh, okay.
For 30 days.
Wow.
It was dark as chocolate. Wow. And the hardest part that we had was selling it outside this building. The reason why? What do you do with it?
Yeah.
Mix it with, it doesn't matter, Bailey's. Put it 50-50 with Bailey's on ice. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's a drink. Teachers loved it. I could put it in my Dunkin' Donuts coffee and go into class in the morning. Nobody would know the difference. But if you put it on the shelf, everybody always expected coffee rum to be a liqueur and not coffee rum. And it was a hard thing. I actually had to, I stopped producing it because it was one of those that you just kind of go, it's awesome. But those far and few between people that knew what to do with it was a hard thing to, you had to part ways with it because I couldn't produce it on huge scale in the sense that to market it. But it was killer.
Wow.
It was sexy. It was great.
Yeah.
But in small numbers. And I'm not a hyper local small guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Huh. That's really fun. Well, cool. Let's wrap this up. Let's talk about, first off, when is your tasting room open?
So we stopped our tasting room for doing tasting and tours up until about 2 weeks from now.
Okay.
We're going to be doing Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday nights.
Okay.
From 4 to 9,
Uh-huh.
and on Saturdays from 12 to 6.
Okay.
Because it's one of those where, I hate to say it, I want to be like everybody else sometimes.
Yeah.
I want to enjoy the crowd. So that's our big goal at this point, is introduce people to our products, make cocktails. We started creating a fabulous cocktail list. One of my favorite things, I hate to say it, rum and root beer.
It does not sound bad. It does not sound bad.
It does not go bad at all. It has a long, pretentious name that really can't be pronounced right.
Okay.
So what we ended up doing is, when we looked it up and we read it, and we were like, nope, it's called the rum, that thing with root beer.
Okay.
So,
I mean, no, it doesn't sound bad at all.
No.
It sounds heavenly. I mean,
it's
sarsaparilla.
the sweet. Actually, if you add bitters, it goes straight into the sarsaparilla birch beer world.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and you drink it, and you're like, "Oh, this is easy." And then all of a sudden, you're like, "Oh, look, ceiling."
Yeah, right.
It goes really well. We've come up with a lot of different cocktails. So just one of those, we had to stop, regroup, rethink ourselves, and so in about 2 weeks, we're going to be coming up with the tasting room, and just trying to be more of a tasting room, let people introduced to our product, get to see the distillery, ask for a tour kind of world, and you get to see what we do.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Brant. Let's wrap this up. I know you have to go to an event, and it's pretty soon.
No, I'm going to a brewery.
Oh, right. Well, I don't want to hold you up. Cheers. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.